Hello, I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for joining the Tarot Tips. As mentioned in the last tarot tip, we're going to be reviewing or demonstrating a few of the most simple ways to use your cards. Simple doesn't mean ineffective. Simple means direct. Simple means clear-cut. This next query, last time we looked at the basic 3-card past, present, future layout. Today we're going to look at matters of choice. In the example that I'm going to use today, we're just going to look at choice 1 versus choice 2. The idea here is that most times choices are not absolute. In other words, there isn't often a case where one is clearly, absolutely the best path for you and the other is a loser. If it was that clear, you wouldn't need to pull your cards around it. Many times we see there being a pro and a con in each aspect that we might be considering. So we're going to go to the tarot table. I'm going to use a real example in my own life, and we're going to look at what does it look like if I follow option A? What does it look like if I follow option B? Now this doesn't tell us what to do. This shows us what the energy around each choice might be. What's the vibe? What can I expect? What is the tone of doing this? What's the tone of doing that? And then you can decide, what am I in the mood for? What do I feel like doing? What best suits where I am in my life right now? So that's the intention with which we're going to approach this real simple layout method. I really would like to call it more of a method. It's a very simple way to use your cards. So let's go to the tarot table and see what we get. Okay, as I mentioned before, there's lots of ways to get your cards into the template, to get your cards into the position for which you've set the intention. As I've said, I just like to use this random smooshing method. I like to be able to put my hands on all the cards and pick things guided by intuition and bravery, let's say. So this idea about choices, I'm going to take the real example of the radio show that I have. I won't say I'm conflicted, but I'm really making the consideration between whether or not I'm going to continue with it or whether to call it quits at the end of the contract, which is probably the end of October. So what I'm going to do is pull 2 cards for continuing with the radio show past the initial contract date, and that would be, I'm going to pick this one and this one, and I guess I'm needing this one too. All right, creative control there. You might say I'm only going to pick 2, but if something's really calling to you, draw it. Now I'm going to, without turning those over, and I really advise and suggest that you don't turn over any cards until you get everything pulled. That way you're not distracted by what you're getting for any side of the equation here. So I'm going to pull 2 cards for what's the energy around letting the thing go. Just when it's over, in the end of October, it's over. It's going to be these 2. And then in this case, I'm going to pick a card for what can help me make the best decision for myself. And I'll pick that one. Okay, so 3 cards here for the option of going past the contract date and extending it. 3 of Cups, Star card, Ace of Swords. Like all readings, the first thing you do is notice your initial reaction. Don't go into interpreting and describing and discerning and trying to think about what the cards mean. Take your initial hit about how it feels. 3 of Cups, Star card, Ace of Swords. I like those. They feel positive. 3 of Cups implies emotional support, that it feels like it's not just me being the Lone Ranger, which sometimes the radio show has felt like that. So this shows nice emotional connections, gratitude. The Star card might imply some sort of revisioning it, seeing it in a new light, helping it to change and become more fully what it's capable of becoming. Ace of Swords, this is a card that has personal significance for me just in general. I'm like a quadruple Libran, so sword energy is very important to me. Ace of Swords would mean that I have to be very clear about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what are some of the bottom line uncompromisable issues there. Okay, so we get a pretty positive tone there for extending beyond the given contract. What's the energy around just letting it go? Four of Swords, King of Pentacles. I'm going to turn those up like this. Again, paying attention to not what do the cards mean, but how do they feel? What's my initial hit? It's like that feels like eating dry toast. It's fine. It feels like that's purely a business decision. That does feel like the King of Pentacles would imply that I could let this go because I have other things that would be calling my attention. That the King of Pentacles might imply, well, I've got other fish to fry, or I've got other projects that need that are going to be returning me something financially and be good for my business, and maybe it would be good if I put this on the back, this project on the back burner and tended to these things. So I think that's a good example of we really don't see one that clearly outweighs another. It's more a question of, like I said in the beginning, in the intro, what do I feel like I want to do? You know, is this about business? Is this going to be clearly about dollars and cents? Or is it going to be something that I do more in terms of community, in terms of connecting with other people, and then we'll see however that might enhance or bring business to me. But that I really don't look at those and say one is, quote, good and one is a bad choice. So this helper card really might be very useful. What can help me make a good decision for myself? Nine of Swords. Okay, so that's a card that when it comes up in the helping position, sometimes people at the table say, oh my goodness, I'm really screwed now, because how can the Nine of Swords be a helper? How can that help me? I think of that card, actually I like it in the helper position, because the Nine of Swords says two things. First of all, to pay attention to the things that most worry you. To pay attention to what continues to kind of haunt you, or what continues to just be something that's scratching at your brain and you can't get rid of it. That as a helper card, Nine of Swords might imply that you need to pay attention to those things. The other thing about Nine of Swords is that it can imply that we're thinking way too much about it, that we're making it way too more of a big deal than it needs to be, that this doesn't have to be something that complicates our life. So to me, I sort of chuckled when I saw it, because to me it says, well, why are you worrying about this now? You might want to wait until, because as I'm taping this tarot tip, it's the middle of September. You know, it's like, why are you pre-worrying about this? It's going to be obvious what you need to do, and take the pressure off yourself and lighten up, and don't be worrying about it so much. And but if it gets to be the middle of October, third week in October, and you still haven't decided what you're going to do, the Nine of Swords can imply to be paying attention to what are your worst fears about this. What is your intuition telling you maybe about this, that either one of these choices might lead you down a path that you really don't want to go down? To pay attention to that. So this is, I think, an excellent method for looking at your options, seeing what the energy around each option is, and then being able to consciously make your choice deliberately, hopefully a little bit more well-informed, and then go about your business. I hope that's helpful. Remember to check out the streaming videos on the TarotWorks website. You get all of this and more in those tarot classes. So thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.